Oh, the beep in here?
Yeah,
Good
dude,
luck. We've been in here like 3 times. We still can't figure out where the hell.
really?
But we tried turning it off too. didn't we?
It doesn't work?
Ernie now.
There's no remote, so.
There's no way to get rid of the beep, apparently.
Yeah, there's one in this room and there's one downstairs in the second floor.
It's a constant beep. Okay.
I'm gonna leave the back door open. in case they want to-
Interesting. Yeah.
A lot of traffic. How can we make it so people can see into here?
You could just, I mean, we could just take the long road.
You can see people who look like they want to connect with you.
Yeah.
I guess we can't move that.
We can let them in.
Seems kind of funny.
Yeah. All right, well, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it just pushes in.
Oh.
Almost.
Oh,
better.
yeah, this one's broken.
A little better.
Okay.
That'll
Better.
give you a little.
Better, yeah, it's better. Okay, great. I think, so how about, can folks still hear us on the Zoom? We're loud enough?
Yes.
We'll try to, okay, good. We'll try to keep being loud. Welcome folks to the first CCN data analysis boot camp. So if you're new to UCLA or just new to MRI stuff or new to anything, this is kind of a one-stop place to learn about all the resources and the people who you can go to. I'll let Agatha start us off, and we'll be just doing about 2 hours today to get like a sense of what everything is and who people are and where to go for certain things. And then tomorrow, Jason's going to be doing some initial kind of hands-on workshops that are more geared towards actual data analysis. And then towards the end of the second day, we'll actually pull everybody to get a sense for what are the things that would be most useful for the community. So we can have like advanced data analytic workshops. So we want to see like what it is that people actually want. So we'll be doing that as we move along. And those workshops will take place periodically through the quarter, through the year. So this is your first kind of introduction, and then we'll kind of spread out all kinds of information across the quarter. So welcome, everybody. I will turn it over to Agatha for our first section.
All right, so I'm here to do a quick introduction. If you were there last year in December, it'll be the same. If not, welcome. This is a really great community, as you will learn. So Staglin, One Mind, IMHRO, Center for Cognitive Neuroscience. You're probably wondering what IMHRO stands for. It's an international mental health research organization. It's, well, now 12 years old, with it was founded in 2010 with gifts from the Staglin family, which is featured here on the right. They have a wonderful website and foundation, onemind.org. You're welcome to check it out, really supporting mental health research. And the founding team includes Dr. Susan Buchheimer, who is our current director, Mark Cohen. We have some pictures here of faces, since you may not see them. This is Russ Poldrak on the top here, and then Ty Cannon, who's I believe at Yale now. So this was the original group, among others, actually. There were a number of faculty. This was very much a faculty-driven effort to get these funds and create really a community center. And that's the broad really mission. So we have a very, very broad community. Psychology, psychiatry are the big ones, but also neurology, radiology, neurosurgery, nursing, eye institute, really, really big community. And you're here for MR, but we also are growing services in EEG, concurrent EEG, fMRI, and ultrasound research. So you're welcome to ask about these. You'll see them grow, hopefully. Which one am I moving on?
I think the arrow, is that one? That's weird.
Oh, there we
Okay,
go.
something was.
Tab. Okay, and I've sort of alluded to this. The mission of the center includes research, of course, basic and clinical, but really huge part of this is education and community. And so you'll hear a lot about community. This is part of community and education. For many years, about 10 years, we hosted the summer neuroimaging training program, and that's what the picture is from. And this is very much kind of an offshoot of that effort on a smaller scale and more intimate scale. But this is a big part of what we do. And so we hope to grow that in part through Dr. Udin's hard work. We'll grow the community so that you guys can benefit directly. Okay, and then just a few faces, especially for those of you who are new, how sort of our system works and who's who. So at the very top, you see Dr. Susan Buchheimer, who's our leader, our director. Yes. Would you be able to expand the window?
Oh, it's just. Hold on.
Oh, that'll be from here.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Not do it.
Hopefully you'll meet Dr. Buchheimer. She has just a wealth of expertise in fMRI. She was in the field from the very beginning, as well as neuropsychology research and applied work, actually. And she works very closely with a number of people. So right below, we have Dr. Robert Welsh, who joined us in January, replacing Mark Cohen. And he has just phenomenal expertise in the tech side, the physics, sequences, data science, computing. So you will run into him quite a bit on the tech side of MR. And he's also co-director of the analysis core, which he's co-directing with, of course, Dr. Lucinda Udin, who you'll get to know very well over the next 2 days, and who's really launching this effort of, along with Jason, of providing you with a lot of the educational aspects of MR analysis. We have on the very right here also a new member of the team, but a very important member, Dr. Mirella Diaz Santos, who is working with us on outreach and really helping us, the center, to have an active role or to actively pursue diversity goals, outreach goals, being more accessible to the community and interacting with the community with regards to neuroimaging and research. And then on the left, you see myself, Agatha Lenardowicz. I am Director of Operations. So I interface with a lot of folks. You'll talk to me when you submit requests for pilot studies in a practical sense. And I'm really a good person to come to when you have a problem that doesn't fit a category. It's not quite MR tech, it's not quite training. So feel free to reach out with any questions about related to the center. And then on the left, we have Marla Torres, who you probably already know, and she is pretty much the heart and soul, along with Jared back there, and from the administrative side. She'll handle everything, funding, administration, et cetera. This whole group works together with a CCN exec committee, which is a group of faculty who are not involved in the day-to-day operations, but who meet with us regularly to sort of advise and think through various challenges and plans, et cetera, of the center. And this, as you can see, Adriana Galvan here, Martin Monti, Jesse Rissman, who are psychology, and then Taylor Kuhn, who's in psychiatry. And then really the most important people hands-on, you see below here, we have Haiyan Wang, who for sure you've interfaced with. She is our system administrator, everything to do with DICOM Hoffman. And working with her now is Jonathan Hernandez, who probably will be the hands-on person who helps you with all kinds of troubleshooting, probably especially Hoffman or again, computing. And then who you'll hear from is Jared Gilbert, or really the leader of the hands-on MR operations downstairs. And he's now working closely with Melody Yen, who is helping him out with the day-to-day sort of operation. So you'll see them in the scanner when you actually do your day-to-day collection. And I promise, have pictures next time.
Alright. So welcome. That was exactly what we wanted overview. Does anyone have any questions for Agatha?
Yes.
We're gonna have, plenty of time for that today, but jump in whenever you do. Okay. Oh, what about on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom have any thoughts or questions at this juncture? Very good, great. So we're gonna hand it over to Jared to do a little intro, and let me pull up your slides that you sent me. This is a person you'll really want to know. Let's see, okay. Now the question is, how can I find my slides? Okay, there we go. So, and what did we say the schedule was? We said we would,
15 minutes.
okay. We're perfectly on time. Okay, very good. So we'll pull up some intro to Jared.
I'll try and be quick.
No, we got 15 minutes. You're in good shape. Problem is me finding here it is. Okay. Okay, so that's there. I need to share screen again. And okay. Now let's hope you'll be okay with the arrows or whatever it was that we decided makes this look out.
Click. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Mostly familiar faces, I believe. So if you haven't interacted with me yet, my name is Jared Gilbert. I'm the kind of lab manager of CCN. You'll see me around a lot. I work downstairs in the imaging center. And I have got my fingers in a lot of stuff. So training, certification, physics, sequence support, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do now is just go through a couple of things that are good for startup. So when you're coming through, if you're new to CCN and UCLA and you want to get started in MR at Staglin, like where do you get started? Welcome to the inaugural CCN Bootcamp. Thanks so much, Lucina, for hosting this. This is a great effort, and Jason as well. Okay, so how to get started. First, most importantly, is safety certification. Can I?
Yeah.
Great. So if you want to scan, of course, you have to be safety certified. We have a safety certification and training program that we do at Staglin. And it's run through Brew and Learn. So we have a course on Brew and Learn. In order to enroll in this, the enrollment key was sent out to like all the labs over the listserv. We don't want to make it public, which is why I don't have it on the slides, and I'm not posting it on any of the public websites because it's free enrollment essentially when you have the link. So please don't share it. I mean, I guess if random people want to get MR certified, they can, but we prefer to keep it in the Staglin community. So please speak with your research coordinators and your lab managers and stuff if you need to enroll in this course, or you can email me directly, but preferably to talk to the folks who already have it. And what does this consist of? So all of the resources are on the page. There's instructions for every, it's kind of a modular setup. So you finish one module, you move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. All of the instructions and information for each module are set up within the module. So there's like an introductory page that you can read that lays out all of the requirements, what you should be learning. And then there's exams and in-person sessions, and that's all scheduled on Brew and Learn. So it's all a self-contained course. So it consists of 4 exams, assignments, and some in-person trainings. It's on a 2-week rotating schedule, right? So you take a quiz, then you come to an in-person training, you take another quiz, you come to another in-person training the week after, you take another quiz. As long as you pass everything with all the appropriate scores, you're safety certified. And it's overall, in general, it's a couple hours of hands-on in-person stuff and a couple hours of quizzes and resources and stuff like that. As well, we also are going to have certifications, information certifications on EEG and ultrasound. which should also be in the same Brew and Learn course. So you don't have to do everything, right? If you're only doing EEG, you can kind of skip all the MR stuff. If you're only doing MR and ultrasound, then you don't need to do the EEG certification. But in general, they're all going to be there at some point. So everything will be run through this course. And lastly, what I'll also say is recertification is also done on this. There are no requirements for certification necessarily. So there's no password involved. You don't need to like go through any of the previous resources. You can just enroll, take the recertification exam, and then you can let me know when you pass, and we'll update your certification status.
How often do you have to do that one?
Every year.
Every year.
So you'll get a message on the scheduling site where you're able to schedule scans that'll say like your certification is going to expire in 2 weeks. And then you can just go on, take the recertification exam. Once you get a passing score, let me know and I'll update your certification status. Yeah, that's a yearly thing. Okay, anyone have any other questions? Any questions from the Zoom community?
And I assume the answer is yes, but if you've taken certification at other institutes, you still have to go through the entire.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you're certified in another institution, that's great. You typically you'll have an advantage on most folks, myself included, when I first started on but yes, you should breeze through it, but you still need to go through the entire process. So we want to make sure that everyone has the same standards. So we want to make sure everyone goes through the certification.
Do you mind if I ask a few questions that, different centers have different rules?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm just going to ask, because I think a lot of people would have the same question. So the first one is about what do you do if you see an incidental finding question? And the second one is about, are there any requirements about pregnancy tests that this center imposes?
Great, good questions. Yeah. So the incidental findings question is laid out in our safety and operations manuals. So those resources are available to you. But essentially we don't have an automatic review process. So if you're concerned about something, please don't tell your subject that you think that they might have a brain tumor, right? We have an internal review process that can be triggered essentially when you let us know that you found something concerning in someone's brain images. Okay.
And you're the first point of contact?
That's right. I'm the first point of contact. So it all happens anonymously, but let me know first, and then I will essentially start the pipeline to get it reviewed by a professional clinician. Okay, great question. Second question, pregnancy testing is up to your lab requirements, right? That's not something that we enforce at CCN. So if that's an exclusionary criteria for your specific study, then that's something that you have to implement for your study.
But it is an exclusion on our MR safety form.
That's right. So if somebody identifies that they are pregnant, then we do not scan them. That's right.
Yeah, many of you could have come from different places, and every place has a different kind of policy, like completely different from every other place I've been. That's why I'm throwing those out there. Are there other things that you've noted from your own institutions that you have questions about? From the previous places we've worked?
Yeah. Anyone on the Zoom? Any questions?
Well, who's gonna run the scanner?
Who's going to run the scanner? Yeah,
Our
good.
old institution, we weren't allowed to touch it.
That's a great question.
Right.
Yeah, so at CCN, that's a great point. At CCN, we operate what I have considered to be an independent user model. So essentially, we send you through the training, right? You get safety certified, you get trained. Of course, just because you finish the safety certification and training course doesn't mean like we're just going to throw you into the driver's seat and let you operate the scanner. You still have to train with your group. You have to shadow scans, and once you're comfortable, and as long as you are eligible to be a scan operator, and that some of that has to do with role and status, role status, like what your status is with the university. But as long as you're eligible to do that, then you can become a primary responsible user, and you can be the one who's in charge of operating the scanner. You're essentially in charge of the secondary users who are assisting you, or there might be multiple depending on what your project is like. But yeah, users operate the user community operates the scanner, collects their own data. I am here for myself and Melody and Agatha and everyone out, part of CCN are here to support your research. So if you have questions on something, right, like sequence isn't behaving properly, or you have questions about data collection or anything like that, I'm always around to assist you, but I will not be in the scanner room with you for 95% of your scans. Yeah, probably.
And who are the eligible categories?
Yeah, so current policies at CCN are primary responsible users can be filled by full-time staff, graduate students, postdocs, faculty, anyone with a full-time essentially appointment, or they can have a part-time appointment, but they have to have scan collecting responsibilities, and in some cases supervisory responsibility or at least eligibility in their role, in order to act as the primary user. Secondary users can be all of the aforementioned plus volunteers and work studies and student SRPs and things like that.
Very good to know.
Yeah,
Right, the other
Good
questions?
questions. And we do have documentation and policies written out on all of this stuff, which I'll show you where you can find these kinds of things as well towards the end. All good questions, great questions.
Yeah, I'm sure this is all documented somewhere, but nobody likes to read, so.
That's right. No, I'm happy to have it on a recording. I'll get less emails honestly, so.
The idea.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, great, let's move on. Okay, next is project startup and the scheduling site. So we have this site that's run through SEML. It's a SciStat site, which is again hosted by SEML Institute. And this is really where you do all of your project specific stuff. So you'll upload your IRB, you'll add your funding sources, you'll create profiles for all your personnel, you'll schedule scans here. This is where your certification and your safety training are logged and recorded and updated and things like that. So a lot of this, there are resources available. There is an about page, which a lot of folks tend to just like fly right past. Please read all of the steps. They're laid out pretty well. Marlo, who was introed, is really going to be your point person for a lot of these things, but please, we all get these kinds of emails where we're like, how do I start a project, right? And then it's just so much easier if you look at the resources first, right? I really try and emphasize that. We have new resources coming out all of the time. If you read the flow chart and you still have questions, awesome. Please email us, and we're happy to help you. But please read the resources first, and then get back to us. So yeah, so this is kind of like, there's the safety course, then there's the scheduling apparatus, right? And that's what the SciStat site is really about. Yeah, and again, all the information really can be found on the site. I'm just kind of introing it. If you have questions later on, again, look at the site and then you can ask if you have questions. Any questions? Any other questions about this? Okay. And lastly, this is a new site that I created recently, which is kind of like a public facing site. So this is based on, it's a Wix website. We didn't really have any nice websites that we can give to subjects or participants to get information about the center. A lot of times, like, subjects can be wary of like what MRI is and like what we do, like why we want to collect this kind of information and research and data and stuff like that. So so I created a Staglin site on Wix, and this has stuff about what MRI is, what they should expect for participating in research. It also has a list of all of the labs that collect data at CCN and ongoing studies as well. So if your subjects want to participate in another study, or they're not eligible, for your study, but they might be eligible for another study, you can send them this information here. And the URL is here, and looks like this. At least this is the MRI page. So, yeah. So check it out. And this is all pretty new. Same with the Brew and Learn site, by the way. I'm like asking folks to just give me feedback. Even like if it's just like I missed a comma or something, right? Whatever feedback you might have. And then of course, like more importantly, like if there's like wrong information about your lab, or if there's information on the safety certification platform that I like missed, or I didn't go over or something like that, please inform me so that I can correct it. These are two like pretty brand new resources.
Could you please pass the chat? Sarah?
Yeah, sure. How do I go back? There we go. Yeah, I can actually do. Oh, I may have just opened it. Yeah. Oops. Let me.
All right, Jason, can you do it?
I don't think I have
Okay.
Yeah,
the
we did.
capability.
All right, let me just type it in.
Yeah, this is brand new, and it's gonna be really nice, public to see what we're up to.
Yeah, and even Jason, if you can also maybe post the the SciStat site to the chat as well, so that
Let's grab them.
you can't. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can't either. I guess what I can do is I can open them. There we go, and then I can. And then where's the chat? Chat's not here, huh?
Well, I can think if you stop share, it'll show up. Yeah, there we go.
Great.
There you go.
Okay. So here's the post to the chat. There's the Wix website. And then here is the site for scheduling.
Yeah, this is helpful, I think, because there's so many new labs, but also there's a lot of people who took breaks during COVID and things have changed in the interim. So even if you've been scanning here for years, things are constantly evolving. So I didn't even know how to set up the studies, and it's so very useful, because we just arrived a year ago ourselves. So thanks very much for getting us all up to speed.
Wow. Okay. Great. Okay, and lastly is just some other resources. So first, we have an email list and a Slack channel. So please email me if you'd like to join those. I send kind of like big center-wide updates on the email list, and the Slack channel is really for kind of like more pointed operational issues or questions where I'm looking for feedback. Or organizing things like this, like Bootcamp and stuff. So both are important, and they're used for different reasons. And please make sure that your CCN email doesn't like go to your spam folder. I can't tell you how many times I like send out an update, and then like 2 days later, someone's like, "Hey, what was the code again to get in?" And I'm just like, please. So if there's some important information, like please like write it down somewhere where you will remember it.
Are we keeping that old wiki up to date, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is something that I wanted to highlight. We've been building out the CCN wiki over the last couple of months, actually, really just like the summer. So this is the wiki page. It really didn't have much on it until like 8 weeks ago. But on the MR side, this is where we're starting to keep. Oh wait, can they can't see this, can they? Let me share. Let me share again. So we're keeping like policies here for personnel and operations and all this kind of stuff. So for example, like incident reporting, data transfer issues, stuff about volunteers and visitors, all of that stuff is here. We also have some stuff in progress. We have setup and troubleshooting for lots of peripheral equipment. This is probably the most useful day-to-day type stuff. For example, like if you need to use the bold screen, there's stuff about setup, there's stuff about troubleshooting issues. So we've been building this out over the last couple of weeks. And so again, this is one of those instances where please check the resources first. Stuff is coming up New stuff is coming up all the time. So, check the wiki. And if you can't find it, or it's not helpful, or we haven't touched on the issue you're coming across yet, then email me and I'm happy to help. And then I'm also happy to start adding that kind of information to the wiki. So this is something we're working on kind of periodically. We're updating with new information. So yeah, this is a great resource to take a look at. And the I don't know, I should probably put them here as well, but we have like 20+ page operations and safety manuals on the iMac located inside the control room. So right next to where you're operating the scanner, there's an iMac that has on the desktop 2 large manuals for very common types of things you may experience, and also things about safety and stuff like that. So those are readily available to you, especially they're important when you're at the console and you're doing something and something goes wrong. Please check those first in the instance that you might need help. Now, obviously, they don't cover everything. So more, larger, more serious issues, they're not going to tell you how to troubleshoot like scanner failures and stuff like that, right? But okay, excellent. Any other questions?
I would say for a lot of this information, there should probably be like an announcement or a key resources channel in Slack that only you, Hyan, and like basically the higher ups have access to open.
Okay,
That way we would have those key things. That way we can always be like, okay, I need to go to the website, so go to the announcement page. And you can also pin those posts. That way, like if you need to do a quick search, if you guys like.
great. I think that's a good idea.
That way we can always have like one channel where it's just the key information. It hasn't have like people posting below it and like pushing it up and up.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. we
Great-
just
great
got
idea.
Slack, so it's it's good to have.
yeah. Did you say like
You can make a channel, most
Resources?
call it, like announcements, like key
Yeah, roll it out.
resources.
okay.
And it's a channel that only admins have like access to post to.
Mm,
That
There's
way
no
it's like
conversation.
only people in charge, if they'll be bumping it off if anything.
great.
It would not be the same information you would normally put through the CCN. The kind of stuff that would.
Well, even if they're just, I think, like static links, just links to stuff, right? So not like announcement.
Like people like, for a group or something like that, that's like where they're like, the rules of the channel are, so people can always find them. Key links for other things, and that way it's like a pretty much unused channel, but people will go there just like, oh, is this allowed? Yes or no? Or I'm gonna go to that link, where is it? Okay, I'm gonna go to this channel right here and I'll have it posted.
Resources board
Yeah.
type. Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you for your suggestion.
All right.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone? Okay, thanks very much. I'll see you around.
Thank you, Jared. Very, very much. All right. So we're moving right along to next part, which is some general resources that not everyone might yet be aware of. I was not even aware of half of these. Okay. You can still hear okay on Zoom? I'm going to assume that's the case until someone tells me otherwise. Okay, great. All right, oops, I gotta share, hold on, okay. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. So that's there, okay, so I'm Lucina Udine, I'm the new co-director of the Data Analysis Core. You've already heard about Robert Welsh, who's sort of the technical director, who's also co-directing the Analysis Core, and Jason Nomi, you'll be hearing a lot from today and tomorrow, who's going to help us a lot out with the nitty-gritty details of the analysis boot camps. So, so here's what I think are sort of bits of information that are useful to know. Generally, if you want to learn about MRI data analysis on this campus and what the resources are, there's lots of ways to go about it. So there's journal clubs that are happening in different departments. There are data analysis work groups, which you'll hear about today. There's seminars, of course, like the research, the science seminars that are, from both local speakers and speakers from around the world that come to visit. We have coursework, which is stuff that you can enroll in for credit. Psychology and psychiatry have courses. And the neuroscience program has courses, and some of them, the instructors are happy to let you audit, even if you're not taking it for credit, they're happy to let you, just sit in on. And there's, which I find very useful sometimes, is individual lab meetings. So if there's a group who you want to learn a little bit more about what they're doing, oftentimes they're just very happy to let you come to their weekly or monthly or bi-weekly lab meetings. So don't be shy about doing that, because a lot of people are just extremely happy to have other visitors from other labs. And especially at UCLA, it's just a very open kind of collaborative place. So we have workshops on specific topics that Jason will tell you a little bit more about as well. We have brain hack. Has anyone ever been in a brain hack before? Part of a brain hack? So we have that. I'll talk a little bit more about, and we have the Slack that we just kind of mentioned. So basically you have all kinds of different kinds of support. You might be a fresh person just getting in on the first project you've ever done, or you might be a really seasoned data analytic expert. And so there's kind of different resources for different levels of involvement, but you have support in all these endeavors. So this is the Neuroimaging Affinity Group. Has anyone ever attended this meeting before? So a few of you already know about it, right? This is a journal club, and it's a group that meets every other Wednesday at 2 p.m., usually during the school year. And Jesse Rissman, and I think now I'm also listed as one of the faculty members. And there's a couple other graduate students, Mary and Lauren, who are organizing the group. But it's basically what it sounds like. We pick papers and we read them together, and we dissect them and decide if we like them and critique them and all that fun stuff. So you can learn more about it. I think the website is there, but basically if you're interested in joining it either in person or virtually, whatever makes most sense, you can email me or Jesse and we'll let you know once it gets started for the fall quarter. But this is something that's been going on for quite a while, and it's always fun to talk about papers together. There might not be anyone there. You might be in a lab that doesn't do a lot of neuroimaging, so you want to join some of these groups where you can have other folks to talk about these papers with. So that's something to keep note of. Then, every other Wednesday, 2 p.m. So we try to, with the Neuroimaging Affinity Group, have one speaker from outside come in every year and have a colloquium and a day of meetings and lunch with the speaker and a reception. So this past May, in the spring, we had Paul Thompson, who's our crosstown neighbor, come and give a talk on imaging genetics, and that was really fun. We had a reception afterwards, and it's always a good time. Obviously, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of COVID-related disruption, so something might go from virtual to in-person to in-person to virtual, and vice versa. So I think this year, as you can tell, most classes, seminars, and things are going back to in-person, but for the most part, we're usually keeping a hybrid option just because we know things can change at the last minute. So keep an eye out for the journal club and the speaker that will probably happen in spring again. And of course, if you have suggestions for speakers you might want to see, we're also happy to take any suggestions. And that's a group that's sponsored by the Brain Research Institute. Does everyone know about the Brain Research Institute? It's sort of the big umbrella that all the hundreds of neuroscience groups at UCLA kind of fall under the Brain Research Institute. So in any case, so this is something I started, and we just had the first meeting of this. So there's a project called the Adolescent Brain Cognitive Development Project that involves 21 sites across the United States, and UCLA is one of the sites that's collecting data for this multi-site project. It's funded by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, but the idea is they're collecting neuroimaging and phenotypic data and all kinds of information, sleep, hormones, so many things, cognitive measures, from kids between the ages of 9 and 10, and they're following them up every year, well into their teen years. This has been going on since 2016, and it's a longitudinal study. And it's a huge project, and there's a lot of interest in it, first of all, because we're collecting data here at UCLA, and second of all, there's so many data releases that have already happened. So if you're a person doing neuroimaging studies, you're interested in adolescent development, you're interested in predictors of drug use or mental health outcomes, or there's so many measures that are included in this study that a lot of people have started analyzing the data, and they're sort of working through it on their own. So we created this work group for people who want to have a community of other researchers who are also working on the data set. Because it's large and it's unwieldy and there's a lot of questions about it, we figure we could work together through some of these questions. So we started, and we'll have the second meeting of this group this Wednesday at 2 p.m. So it's basically alternating the time with the journal club. So if one Wednesday there's journal club, the next week there'll be analysis work group. So this is more of what is a work group is more like you come with your computer. We might have a little presentation from someone, or we come with questions and we start brainstorming about how to deal with a particular question. So that's something brand new, and I'm also taking lots of suggestions for people who either want to present in the group or want to bring a particular problem to the group to work on together. So this is more just like if you want a bunch of like-minded folks to help you through data on this, that's the group to join. So that's one thing we've got. What else we've got going on? That's also every other Wednesday at 2 p.m. Now, there's brain mapping seminars. So some of you might be aware that there's another neuroimaging facility on campus called Brain Mapping Center right around the corner from here. And they do seminars that they've been doing now for many years. Actually, a fun fact, when I was a PhD student here, the first talk I ever gave was at the brain mapping seminar in 2003. So that was like the first time I ever gave a presentation was at the brain mapping seminar here so many years ago. But what they do is they invite speakers from outside. It's been virtual, going back to in person. These are great talks, scientific talks, and they have the seminars, for the future listed on the website, but they also have all the recordings from the past seminars for the many, many years going back. So in fact, I just gave a seminar for them last year, and so it's all on their website. If you want to go back and watch particular speakers, you can find it here. And they also, have opportunities to meet with the speaker and all of that. So, and people love watching this. This is my 2-year-old niece, and she loves watching the brain mapping seminar. So it's great times. But it's really convenient because they've also been doing the hybrid virtual thing where you can, if you happen to be off campus, you can still catch it. So it's one of those things where there's always interesting speakers, and I think it looks like it happens about once a month is what the schedule is. So there's a website, you can find out what's going on. And there's a listserv, so you can sign up for them and they'll just email you every time there's a new topic. So then there's courses. So how many of you are grad students in some department or other? Yeah, so a lot of you are grad students, and that is exactly right. I mean, as it should be. So basically you have options. Some of these courses, you can either take them for credit through your department. They're listed through psychology and neuroscience or psychiatry typically. And you can also just email the instructor, the professor, and ask them if you can just sit in on the class or sit in on specific lectures. There's 3 very relevant ones that I'll highlight today, but there's many courses around campus that you might find useful. There's some in computer science and engineering, for example, if you want to get more into signal processing. There's some in statistics, right? So biostats, whatever. So another thing I want to encourage people to do is if you find a very useful course on campus, post it to the Slack or let other people know, oh, I found a MATLAB course over in this department, because sometimes you want to learn a programming language, but it's not offered by the psych department. It's not offered by neuroscience, but it's probably offered somewhere else on campus. So let's keep each other in the loop. But this one that Martin Monti teaches, he's in psychology. He teaches a graduate course called Computational Methods for Neuroimaging 265. So if you look it up in the course schedule, it's Psych 265. He is teaching it this fall. So it's coming up. As you can see, I think there's lots of slots open. 17 slots are open out of 20. That's good. No wait list. It's Monday, Wednesday, 8:30 to 9:45 over in the psych building. So email him if you're interested. I'm sure he'll tell you more about it. This is pretty, well, I don't know, beginning to advanced in terms of data analysis. So it's a good place to start, but also a good place to learn some advanced techniques. If you have the room in your schedule, that is. Now, there's also a great course that Susan Bruckheimer, the director of the center, she teaches this herself, and it's called Functional Neuroanatomy for Neuropsychologists. So that's Psychiatry 292. And it's, you learn, you memorize all the Brodmann areas, you learn the brain basically in this class, and she's been teaching it for well over 20 years. So that's another one that's a good one to put on your schedule if you feel like you want to brush up on your neuroanatomy. It's also offered this fall, 2020. And then Morella DePrato and I are sometimes teaching this course, and it's called Developmental Cognitive Neuroscience. So it's also the type of methods you use more often in studies of brain development. We did that last year at some point. Yeah, winter 2022. I think we'll probably offer it once every other year or something like that. And so it's also a grad seminar, basically. So, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot of other courses. So this is just to give you an overview of the types. These are the most relevant ones, if you're doing human neuroimaging, but this campus is huge. There's 30,000 undergrads. There's plenty of relevant courses. You'll just have to sometimes do a little digging to find them. And then Jason Nomi is going to do what you really want, which is a lot of both basic and advanced MRI data analysis workshops. Starting basically tomorrow, we'll be, getting into fMRI data pre-processing. But he's done some of these already, which you can also find the recordings. So the initial one that he did was March, pretty recently, and there's a recording available on that, which I think we can put it on Slack, or somehow we can get it around. And there'll be more of that, of course, tomorrow and in the coming weeks. And then for advanced users, he's been doing a lot of things. We're going to cover different topics, but one of them that our lab loves is dynamic functional connectivity. So he did one of those workshops already. That was on February 4th, and the recording's available. So we'll get that out to people as well. Let me see, there's someone, it's very beginner friendly. Great. Okay. Yeah. And if you're on the Zoom and you want to shout out, please do, because I can't always see the chat. So feel free to shout out. Okay. And this is just some example of like one of the methods that he did a workshop on. It's called sliding window functional connectivity. And it's a way of looking at whole brain functional connectivity in windows of either 30 seconds or 40 seconds or a minute, instead of averaging across like an entire 10 minutes. And so he went through a workshop where he talked about, how to run this particular analysis using a software called GIFT, and how you can compute different metrics of brain dynamics from this type of analysis. So he really does a lot of this hands-on workshop stuff. And it can, if you have topics that you're interested in, we can develop the workshops and invite speakers to teach us more about those topics. This is just some examples of things that our lab really cares about. So that's why we offer these workshops, because this is something Jason spends a lot of time on: coactivation pattern analysis, another way of looking at changes across time. So in the future, we're going to basically our lab moved here from the University of Miami a year ago. And while we were there, we were in the middle of the pandemic. We did a lot of things on Zoom. We did journal clubs on Zoom. We did a lot of workshops. And we found that, you can always get speakers to come on Zoom much easier than in person. So we would have statisticians, quantitative psychologists, and fMRI statisticians like Jeanette Mumford and Phil Reese. Jeanette Mumford has a really nice blog that she keeps up to date with a lot of FSL kind of tools and hints. So we had her give a talk, and we can always invite her back if there's interest. And Katie Gates is a person from UNC who's developed a lot of methods that we've been using in the lab. So we had talks from a lot of statisticians over the years. And we've had a lot of collaborations with electrical engineers and computer scientists. So this is Manish Sagar, who's at Stanford, Shrikant Riali, who's at Stanford, and Katie Chang, who's an engineer at Vanderbilt. And a lot of these folks have developed a lot of signal processing tools that are particularly useful for both fMRI and EEG data analysis. They develop and keep a lot of tools up to date, and they give really good workshops. So we've often asked them for favors in that way. And then we've worked a lot also with cognitive and network neuroscience folks, like Mika Rubinoff has given a graph theory workshop for us in the past. And Nathan Spring has taught us about partial least squares, which is a multivariate approach that some people like to use for data analysis. And Ted Satterwhite gave us many workshops over the years on motion and how to deal with motion and considerations and ways to mitigate motion artifacts. So these are some folks we've called on in the past, and we have obviously there's many topics that we could cover, and we're always open to suggestions. So please keep the ideas coming. So we had a brain hack last year for the first time, and we had to do that over Zoom at the last minute. They told us, everything has to switch to virtual, so we didn't do it in person. But the biggest fun part of the brain hack is really the data blitz, where graduate students and postdocs can give 5 or 10-minute presentations on something they're really excited about. And so we had that, and we had a really great lineup of some of you are here who gave talks at the Brain Hack. We'll try to keep doing Brain Hack, once a year if possible. We'll see how, how much interest there is. But it's something we can keep doing in the future to, as much as people find it useful. And Slack is a thing that Jared mentioned. It's brand new. I mean, I think we started a couple months ago, but there's many ways you can use it. Sign up, ask me to sign up, ask Robert Welsh to sign up, or ask Jared, whoever. And you'll find a lot of ongoing conversations. Some of them might be of use to you and some of them might not, but you might as well sign up and see what's going on. And that's sort of it for the resources, but there are many things I may have missed, or there's a lot going on at UCLA as far as neuroimaging data analysis. So this is my first attempt at trying to put it into one group of slides, but the idea is for us to all keep each other informed. If you see there's a talk going on in some corner of the university, you think it would be of interest, post it in the Slack under the right channel, Or if your own lab is doing something that you think other labs might care about, you can say, hey, our lab is having this thing is going on. Maybe we can create a channel called lab meetings or something like that. So that's my sort of overview for now. And I guess I'll give the next thing we're going to do is play a video that Hayan has made for us that goes over.
I was gonna go over the Linux first.
You want to do that first?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Hyan's video uses the Linux, so.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so we're going to do Jason's workshop on just some basic Linux commands that you'll need to know if you're going to be doing data analysis. And in any way, shape, or form, you'll need to know these things. And then we're going to watch a video that's a bit, I think 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have about.
I'll go like 15.
Oh,
Have to
okay.
get out of here at 10,
All right.
11:30.
Wait, now, well, I think originally I booked this period from 10 to 12. So we have this conference room from 10 to 12. So we'll do, like 15 minutes of that, 20 minutes of do you want to break for a couple of minutes, or you want to just like,
Do you guys want to?
are you break, or you're okay?
I think we're
okay?
It's not gonna be.
Okay,
anything.
yeah, we'll probably wrap up here by 11:45. So, okay, so we can just finish up. All right, do you want to use your laptop or?
Yeah.
Okay, and in the meantime, while we're getting set up, let's see if there's any questions from the Zoom or in the room. Oh, yeah.
A suggestion really, so for another course option for if something kind of like MATLAB, Michael Cohen out of Europe has the Udemy courses from doing the basics of MATLAB, but he also has signal processing
Oh,
with MATLAB and Python courses on Udemy.
oh, good.
So they go on sale for like $15 at a time, but like you have them forever.
Okay,
His courses are really well done where he goes through them like crystal clear and shows you like how he does the base code. He even shows you how, like, if you wanted to make your own EEG data to try out whatever like analysis idea you have. And so his courses are really thorough and I found them to be really helpful. So
Okay.
I recommend them for anyone.
you have to buy those, is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to buy them, like I said, they go on sale frequently for like $15.
Mhm.
So and once you buy them, you have them forever.
Right.
And even if you want to do, you can do like a lab email,
Right,
buy it for everyone in the lab and then just give them the email, like the access to the
right.
account.
Yeah, that's a good one to know about. I'll look into it, and if anyone wants to know more about it, maybe we can figure out a way to do it together also as a group,
Yeah.
'cause- yeah, that's great, thanks. There's some things in the chat here. I wonder if that's people who didn't want to speak up, or if that's just Jason. Okay. That's Jason, okay. Great, all right, so I think you can share your screen from there, right?
Yeah. What do I do? Is this feeding down?
Yeah, just turn that off, because you're this mic will work.
Okay.
Yeah, here.
Can you hear me? On the Zoom? I'm gonna assume so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm just gonna go over really basic line commands. The boot camp is set up more so for people who don't have any experience with anything, just to give you guys an introduction. And like Lucina said, we're gonna do more advanced topics later on. So these parts here are again more aimed at people who have not touched Linux yet or done any of that stuff. So we're gonna open the Linux terminal. Here, if you just want to bring it up on your laptop, we're just gonna go play around with it. Basically, the Linux terminal here, if you're doing neuroimaging, you're gonna have to learn to use this Linux terminal. Just because there's no way to do these things by hand, you're gonna have to code everything, especially when you're doing hundreds of subjects. And coding in the Linux terminal is something you will need to do. In addition, most programs or many neuroimaging programs run on the Linux terminal. And in order to access most of their features, you'll need to know Linux commands, et cetera, et cetera. So did everybody install FSL? I know I said don't do that till Tuesday, but
Can we just use
No.
Hoffman?
what's that?
Can we just use Hoffman?
You can just use Hoffman, but I think some people aren't getting on there yet. If you haven't installed FSL, don't worry. Right now, let's just do some basic Linux commands, I guess. If you're on your terminal, open up your terminal, you can just do pwd. So this is your basic command. I'll tell you where you are. Oh, let me put this. This is a good little introduction also to Linux here. Put this in the chat. Basic introduction stuff. But basically this terminal allows you to move through your file system, and it allows you to copy files, make files, everything else. And tomorrow we'll start getting into minor loops. So essentially when you're using Linux or MATLAB, you're going to use what's called a for loop. And essentially you're going to build a little code that says for all the files in this list, do X, Y, Z. We'll go into that tomorrow. But first, your basic commands here, just need to know how to move around the terminal. pwd will tell you where you are. ls will tell you what files are available inside of your directory. And then if you want to change directories, it's cd. So if I want to change to my desktop here, cd, you can start typing in the beginning, and if you press tab, it'll auto finish it for you. So if everybody just wants to move around, and then when you're in your desktop, you do ls again, it'll show you all the files located on your desktop. Go ls again, it'll show you what files are there. I'm going to go into this folder that is on the Google Doc. You guys should download it. So these are some of the things you should download for tomorrow. This is the data from Andy's brain book. So if you go into there, you have a bunch of subjects. And basically just learn how to move around to the Linux terminal and put in commands, be comfortable with it. You can make folders in here. So the thing with the Linux terminal is you always want to do print your working directory. Wherever you are, that's where the files will be made or will be deposited or whatnot. So you can do things like make directory. And then now I have this test directory here. And then if you want to do remove directory, remove R, then you can move that. So just learn your basic Linux commands here just to get familiar with the terminal. And then later on, once you input FSL and things like that, if you just type in FSL into the GUI, this is what we're going to work with tomorrow. So make sure you have FSL set up. If you just type in FSL, your GUI should come up, your graphic interface. And we'll be using this tomorrow for Andy's brain book. And the other thing about the terminal is once you have these programs like FSL set up, you're going to use the command line a lot to access some of these processes in the program. So by typing something like FSL math or FSL maths, you're going to see that this command comes up. You have to have FSL installed, obviously, but what happens is you'll get a bunch of instructions, basically outline whatever inputs and outputs or flags, options we call it, for your command. And you're gonna use this a lot, basically, for whatever you do. And you can type in different commands here. This feet. So whatever type of commands you type in here, I don't know what's another one. FSL, mean, TS.
Yeah, it's all one.
Yeah, so if you type in FSL mean TS, this is how to extract the time series. We'll go over it. But basically, it'll give you some instructions again, and we'll go over this tomorrow. But you really need to learn the terminal if you're going to do any type of these neuroimaging analyses. And tomorrow we'll go more into using terminal to extract time series, using the terminal to look at nifty data, things like that. If you already have it set up, you can just do something like FSL eyes, and then let's see. So if you go into one of the folders where the data is, just go into any one of these. And then type it in the terminal, you can open up your files like this. So just get used to using the terminal and moving around, because it will help you a lot eventually when you get into bigger data sets and things like that.
Tomorrow, are you doing basics of shell scripting or it's?
Not so much basic. We'll go into a really tiny for loop tomorrow and just get you used to some of the shell scripting basics, but we won't be doing scripting so much. I'll give you guys a script and go through it, but we're not going to actually do scripting just because that's something you'll need to take a class on its own or do it by yourself, or it takes a long time to learn scripting. For this, Hyan is going to show you guys to get onto Hoffman inside of her video. Hoffman is our supercomputer resource here at UCLA, and if you're doing large neuroimaging, you will have to use a supercomputer at some point, most likely. Are you guys familiar with Hoffman? Have you guys ever heard of Hoffman? No, some of you haven't. Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Hoffman, Hyan's video is going to go through how to log on. You need to actually get an account somewhere.
I think she talks about it.
She talks about it in the video, but if you just want to log on first, what is it? SSH. What are you doing? Okay, I guess we'll watch the video. But
SSH, your username.
oh, there's no flag. Okay.
Hoffman2.idre.ucla.edu.
Oh wait, yeah. Two. And then basically you can log on to Hoffman. So the Linux terminal lets you access Hoffman virtually. Han is going to go through this, but if you just want to log in right now, it's SSH, your username at hoffman2.idre.ucla.edu. You need an account, otherwise you're not going to be able to access it. But essentially, Han's going to run through this resource right here. And this supercomputer actually has most of the neuroimaging programs you're going to need, and Han's going to talk about that right now. If you're having trouble downloading the data or anything for tomorrow, shoot me an email or speak to me after this, I guess, because we're going to get right into it tomorrow. We're not going to go over downloading. I'm going to assume everybody has everything set up.
Someone's asking what version of FSL do you recommend?
Oh, the version isn't so important right now. You can put in any version. The main differences, I think, with the earlier and later versions of FSL is the FSL eyes versus the FSL view. It's a viewer. It's not such a big deal. So I think you're okay with any version right now. I will use Hoffman on no machine. You can use, it doesn't matter where you're gonna use FSL tomorrow, as long as you have access to it. So if you can access Hoffman, then no need to download it. Make sure you just know how to open it on Hoffman. Anybody else? Or can we?
there's any other questions, feel free to shout them out or
Uh,
put it in the chat.
access this video. I'm not sure what video.
I'm gonna, this video, we're gonna.
Oh, we're showing, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna post this
Okay.
recording later on the Slack.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for tomorrow, like, are there specific commands you recommend we know or get acquainted with before we do that workshop?
Not necessarily. I'm gonna go through them. Yeah, so tomorrow I'm just gonna assume you haven't touched Linux at all, so that's what
Great.
the workshop.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
And he said there were specific files to download, but I can't really see from here, so is there?
If you go to that Google Doc in the chat that has
Yeah, if you go to this Google Doc that Lucina sent out. So here's the things that you should. So you don't need to install FSL. You don't have to install MATLAB if you can access them through Hoffman. As long as you have access to them. I just assuming some people don't have access to Hoffman. Save this folder, save this parcellation, save this normalized data set, and then download this data set from Andy's brain book. This is what we will be going over in the second part. And if you can, I would read through it. Read through this tutorial. It's very dense. You won't be able to do it tonight. But this is basically what we're gonna go through tomorrow. We're just gonna go through the basics of all of this just to get your feet wet. And then later on in the semester, we'll have more advanced seminars dealing with things that you should already have the basics down. And then that's what those seminars will be for. But for tomorrow, it's just assuming you have not touched Linux, you have not touched MATLAB, you have not touched anything.
okay, any questions?
Any other questions?
for the video?
But for tomorrow, please do have access to FSL, MATLAB, those programs, and have the data downloaded. I'm gonna assume you have all that done because it's gonna take you a little while and you won't have time to do that when we start at 10 tomorrow. So get that all done tonight and we'll start at 10.
I just forwarded you an email from IDRE Services. They're hosting workshops throughout the semester
Oh.
for basic Unix, scripting, parallel computing, and accessing Hoffman in all different ways.
Perfect.
So they have workshops, like they're 1 hour, 2 hour workshops spread throughout the semester.
Great.
But so I sent you the email and you can.
Yeah, I can distribute it. Yeah, that's great because it, yeah, that way you don't have to spend all of your time. You can jump right into the data analysis part, right? And then
Yeah, they
people.
have multiple workshops, like going through the basics of like how to go through Linux, how to make directories, how to do basic scripting. And
Perfect.
functions, do parallel computing. They also have some stuff, if people are interested, they have R tutorials as well. I think some other stats stuff.
They have Python.
Yeah.
Which one? But- Oh, good.
Like only a couple of hours.
So that's exactly the kind of thing I was mentioning. There's so many resources on campus that it's like hard to know where to look. So yeah, this is, if people can like share things they found on Slack that were helpful. Is there already a channel that's about resources and tools? If not, we'll create one and, you know, yeah, but that's great to know. Anything from the Zoom folks?
No, we don't have we have just a general chat where we can post things, we don't have like resources.
Okay, well,
That's what I was saying earlier about making like a
Yeah.
resource announcement channel.
yeah, let's create one for like educational resources and then we can put all of the stuff we found on there. Perfect. Okay, so now I think I can share again, right? Thanks, Jason, you're done, right?
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna share this, which is the video that Kion made for us to watch. Let me see if I'm. What's the best way to close this? No.
Oh, for Hoffman, Hayan's gonna show you a couple ways. So the way I showed you, just going to the terminal and then you access Hoffman to the command line, which is harder to do if you're not familiar with Linux. Hayan will show you a way to access Hoffman with a GUI. So it basically sets up a virtual machine on your laptop and then you can use it like your Mac operating system or Windows or whatnot.
Okay, so let me try this. Wait, how do I? Should I share it on on there or from here?
You can share from here, make sure to hit share audio.
Share audio. Okay, because now it's doing,
Oh, mute that one.
I have to mute this one. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'll mute this one.
Oh, you can remember.
Hey, sorry to interrupt them. I don't think we're getting audio on Zoom. Not sure if anybody else is having the same issue.
I can't hear anything either.
And hopefully you can start using Hoffman for the analysis from the rest of the bootcamp. I will not have a lot of time to go through all the details today. I will post the slides in CCN Slack. And also please have a look at the CCN Week page and IDRE homepage for more details. First, so how to connect to Hoffman 2. And Hoffman is a Linux platform, and you can use SSH client to connect to it. For Mac OS user or Linux users, you have built-in terminal to use, and for Windows users, you can install mobile xterm. The syntax is SSH username at hoffman2.idre.ucra.edu. For users who want to use graphic programs such as FSL, FreeSurfer, MATLAB all have GUI interfaces. You need to use this -y option, and after SSH. To make that work, you need to install Xquaz for macOS, and make sure that you will need to manually enable the indirect GLX after version 2.7.9. If you're using 2.8.2 and newer, you will need a little bit different syntax. So after that, you should reboot your Mac machine and make sure it will take effect. There's other ways to log into, connect to Hoffman, which is use X2Go or No Machine. These are GUI tools. And X2Go is recommended here because it's a little bit more stable than No Machine. Once you download X2Go and click it open, you can see a configuration form like this. You just need to type in the host name so it knows where to connect to. You can use X2Go 1, the Hoffman 2, or X2Go 2. For No Machine, you can use an X1 or an X2. In both cases, make sure you use Mate as a desktop interface. Then click OK and save the session. After that, you can click on the save session every time to start the connection, and it will ask your login information. And if your login is successful, it should see something like this. This is a typical Linux desktop interface, and you can click into these folders to browse through your files, or click on this terminal icon so you can start terminal to input command lines. The benefit of using X2Go or No Machine is not only that they provide a GUI interface, but also it makes it much faster to load MRI images with FSLIs or Freeview, and also it makes it possible that you can log back into your old session if you have to turn off your computer for a while. You can resume the old session and continue working on your job. So once you log into Hoffman, you'll be landed into your home directory. Normally it's under /u/home, the first character of your user ID, and / your user ID. It has 40 gig quota, and it's backed up for 30 days. And same as the group folder under /u/project, group name also backed up for 30 days. That means if you make a mistake and delete some of your files and notice within 30 days, you can get them back from the backup. In that case, let me know, or let IDRE team know, and they can help with that. There's another folder you can use, which is called Scratch. And by the way, these are $ with capital home and Scratch. These are environmental variables. If you know Bash, you can type in echo and Scratch, then you will find the path of your share. The Scratch folder has 2 terabyte limit, and it also use flash drive. It's much faster. So it's recommended to use it for analysis and keeping intermediate result, but it's not good for keeping data there for long term, because the data will be deleted after a week. Make sure you move your final result to your home directory or your group folder. Make sure that you don't fill up your home directory, even if it has 4 gig disk space. Probably if you download some large MRI data and run an analysis on it, it can fill up very quickly. If you use more than 99% of your quota, you can see problem like file system turn into read only. You cannot overwrite your the file that you own, and sometimes a file can be broken while you're updating it. So I recommend to use this mycota command to check your disk usage from time to time. -u follow your username will give the details of how much quota space still available, and with G and group name it will show the group quota usage. So Linux system normally provide this .bashrc file for users to customize their personal environment. To make change to this file, you can use Vim, Emacs, or Gedit, or Nano, and one of many editors that you're familiar with. Here we have example of using Gedit because Gedit has GUI interface and is very beginner friendly. You can type in Gedit, and tilde is same as $home and /bashrc. Once you open it up, and it will show the contents of the file. You can find the umask and change the number to 007. This is to make sure that the files and folders you create under your group folder that will be able to read and write by your group members is for the file sharing purpose. And make sure you have this line module, start with module use, and this path is where the CCN modules are. This purpose is to let the system know where to find CCN modules in case you want to use CCN modules. Modules are softwares in Hoffman, and if you want to use FSL and free server, such softwares, these are all provided by CCN. So we'll need this line to be able to find them. There's another example, module load FSL. This is how you load FSL into your environment. This is optional. If you want to use FSL every day, you log into Hoffman, then probably having this line in your .bashrc will save a lot, will save some time, so you don't have to type in this line every time you log in. Once you log into Hoffman, you will be landed on one of these 4 login nodes. The purpose of these login nodes are for users to get into the system. However, if you need more resources to run your job, you will need to acquire a computing node. So we're going to look at how to acquire a computing node. One way is to use interactive mode. It's pretty easy to type in QRSH from the terminal of Hoffman, and this will reserve 1 core, 1 GB memory for 2 hours. Of course, this is very minimal. If you need more resources, you should use a -L option, followed by HData means the memory's amount of memory per core, and HRT is the length of the session you're requesting. Here is 8 hours. Be aware that has 4 zeros behind it. And PE share 2 means we want 2 computing cores here. So because this 4 gig is per core, so actually we're requesting to multiple for 8 gig memory here. Normal users can use up to 24 hours work sessions. For CCN users, because CCN has contributed nodes, so users can run longer than 24-hour jobs on these CCN nodes. Make sure you have this high P keyword at the end of the QRSH, and so your job will be assigned to these CCN nodes. Otherwise, for example, we have 72 hours requested here. Without IP, you will not see any error message, but your interactive session will never start. Interactive session is good for testing and running jobs that require GUI, such as MATLAB, or if you want to use FSL from the GUI interface. There's another method to acquire work node is called batch mode, which is you will need to prepare a batch script first, and in there you tell the system the resources you want to reserve for your job, and load all environment, and at the end call your script and commands to for your analysis. So if you want to know more details, please read on CCN Week page, and here's a sample or a template you can use, just modifying the part that you need, and then use it for your job will be very easy. Today, since the time limit, I will not go into more details, because I think for the rest of the bootcamp, you probably just need interactive mode. My job is a command that you can use to check the status of your job, and especially for batch mode, it's very useful. Modules are softwares in Hoffman, as I mentioned before, and like Python, MATLAB, FreeSurfer, FSL, these are all existing in Hoffman as modules. If you want to use them, you need to load them first. For example, if you want to see how what versions of Pythons are there, you can type in module AV Python. AV is short for available, and you can see all these versions of Pythons are listed there. And to load Python, you can type in module load Python. That will load the default version. Here is 3.6.8. And if you want to load a different version, you need to use slash and the version. So once you load the version, load the module, you want to see if it's loaded or not, you can use module listen to see what's loaded in your environment. And if you want to remove the module you loaded, you can type in module remove that module name. And here it will remove the Python, whatever the version you loaded. And if you want to remove all the modules in your environment, you can use module purge. CCN has many modules for neuroimaging research. Among them are FSL, FreeSurfer. You can use them by loading as module load to FSL or module FreeSurfer, and to run FSL, you can type in FSL to start GUI interface, or FSView or FSL ICE, depends on the version you're using, and FreeView will start the FreeSurfer's GUI interface. MATLAB actually is provided by IDRE team. You can load it by module load MATLAB. However, be aware that if you want to run MATLAB GUI interface, you need 8 GB memory at least. So you should start interactive mode by QRSH and reserve 8 GB memory and or more, and then load MATLAB, and then start MATLAB from prompt by from the terminal by typing MATLAB. If you want to use SPM, same thing, start interactive mode and export the paths for SPM 8 or SPM 12, then start MATLAB and type in SPM in the MATLAB prompt. There are many more different MRI analysis related softwares modules under CCN. You can see the list from CCN wiki page. Okay, so if you have any question, you can email me and I will help you from there. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Any questions about that? I'm not high on, but I can try and answer.
Yeah, hopefully it came through okay on the Zoom, but so we'll have access to this video, the recording from today, all the stuff you saw. So if you didn't write it down, don't stress it. And then Jason will be starting the sort of hands-on tutorial part of all this tomorrow at 10 a.m. And we'll be in the downstairs room, which is 27 something. Right, basically the same conference room that's one floor below us. And that's first session from 10 to 12 tomorrow, and then a break, and then another session from 2:30 to 4, all right?
Yeah. Oh, there's a question on how many gigabytes. FSLIs doesn't need too much. High-end said 8 gigs from MATLAB on the video, but she told us 20 before, and I'll just go with 20 because MATLAB also needs memory to run too, so it's not just a GUI. So I'll just put in 20 to be safe, 20 gigabytes. You do not need a Hoffman account tomorrow, but you do need FSL and MATLAB to work on your computer. So you can just download those links. I think it's a good idea just to have FSL on your own computer anyway, if you want to look at nifty files or do simple things. But for tomorrow, definitely have FSL working. And then if you are getting onto an interactive node on Hoffman, I would recommend doing that before 10 and trying to reserve one, because depending on how many people use it, you might not get a node when we start at 10.
I have a question. I don't know if now is the appropriate time, but I can't make the first session. Would it still be beneficial for me to come in at the 2 o'clock session?
Yeah, the two sessions are going to be somewhat independent. I mean, some of the knowledge will transfer over, but for the most part, you're going to be able to do either session without attending the other.
All right, thank you.
And we'll record everything just like today, so that'll all be there. And this is we're trying to make this a yearly boot camp, so when you have new people or you just want a refresher, we'll do this every fall before classes start. So it's not a one-time thing, we'll keep going.
Yeah, and even though tomorrow is geared at people who have never touched Linux or data before, other people can come and feel free to ask questions on more advanced things if you're curious about something, and we'll try to adjust those if we can. So yeah.
Yeah, feel free to reach out anytime. Is there something else in the chat, or does anyone else want to speak up? I hope we've got everyone who wanted to speak up. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow and for various other workshops throughout the year.
Wait, what is this? If you're still join the Slack?
What about Slack?
Someone asked if you're from a different institute. Can we still join the Slack?
Tell them to email me. I'll have to figure it out.
Email Lucina or send me that question.
All right, thanks. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank you.
email me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm not sure about the Slack. I'll have to figure it out because Robert's the one who created it. All right, see you all later. I have to put the room back in that place.
Oh, I'll go get the tool. I gotta get the tool.
Yeah, thanks for that suggestion.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I know you guys went to a conference recently. Where did you guys do your poster printing on campus? That would be a good resource to tell people.
Yeah, Lauren is the one. I didn't know she had to look around because a lot of things were closed, like there used to be one in San Juan, and it's closed. But she found something else on campus. Thunder, she's the only one who's printed one so far.
Okay, Lauren,
Yeah, Lauren, yeah, Lauren, you took it, you know,
I do, I'll have her email.
it's,
But I think I have an email from Jason with that.
yeah, it's,
I'll find it.
it's LKUPIS. She's the one who most recently, or she's the only one.